So today we are going to look at a monitor which I think everyone looking for a Full HD monitor should consider, because we have a 24-inch IPS panel with a 4K resolution, and 4K is a really big jump from Full HD, and with its price of 23,000 rupees or $330, it's not even that expensive, as long as it delivers to what you are seeing on the spec sheets, which we are going to find out in this video. Hey guys, I am Siddharth and this is LG 24UD58 review. So the installation is pretty simple. You just have to assemble the stand and then install it on the back of the monitor, and it won't take more than 5 minutes. The monitor looks decent enough. We do have rather prominent bezels on the sides which don't look bad, but I do wish that bezels were matte instead of glossy, as it sometimes reflects even the content on the screen and will also scratch easily. The stand is the typical LG shape, which I have mixed feelings for, and we have more glossy plastic here. You can adjust the tilt angle of this monitor, but this doesn't offer any height or pivot adjustments, but you can use a different monitor stand if you want that, as this monitor has a VESA compatible mount. At back, we have the 3.5mm audio out port with two HDMI 2.0 ports along with the DisplayPort 1.2. And below that, we have the power input socket. And I really like the fact that the power brick is built into it. Coming to the menu, you can control this with a single joystick underneath the panel, and this works really well, and you can access all of your settings very quickly. This button also powers the monitor on and off, but one thing that I wish LG changed is that this button by default controls output volume when you press it left or right, and I really wish that they would have made it control brightness instead, as that is obviously the more important function on a monitor. Although you can control brightness and other settings using their on-screen software too. Coming to the panel, we have a 24-inch 8-bit plus FRC IPS panel with a 60Hz refresh rate, and it has all the typical IPS goodness. We have great viewing angles, accurate colors, and the typical 1000:1 contrast ratio. I didn't notice any backlight bleeding or color uniformity issues on my unit, and since this covers 99% of sRGB, this will also be good for content creation on a budget. Although, you might need to do some calibration to make it reach its most color accurate settings, as out of the box, the settings are not the best. This monitor doesn't have HDR support, as this was released a couple of years ago, but the HDR implementation doesn't look great without full array local dimming anyways, which only the very high-end monitors have, so the absence of HDR doesn't bother me on a non-FALD panel. 5 milliseconds of response time is also good enough for gaming, and gamers will also appreciate the FreeSync support, which also means that it will work with NVIDIA G-Sync compatible supported cards. Now the star of the show here is the 4K resolution, and I really think that in 2019, 1080p is just not good enough. Since this is a 24-inch panel, the pixel density is around 185 pixels per inch, which is really sharp. The text appears perfectly crisp, the Windows elements look great, and personally, I find it very difficult to work with 1080p monitors anymore. Like when you go back to a 1080p panel after using this, you literally feel the roughness of the pixel grid in your eyes. Since this is a 24-inch monitor, you can also set the Windows scaling to 200%, which works really well with Windows elements instead of something like 175% scaling, which I have to use with my 27-inch monitors. We have a lot of 4K content these days, and many YouTubers, including me, upload in 4K, so you won't be missing out on all of that. Gaming is also really great on this monitor. If you have a card that can drive 4K, it's great, but 1440p also looks really great and very noticeably sharper than Full HD. And if you can't drive that, even 1080p will look great, as 24-inch is the typical size for Full HD monitors. And an added advantage of 1080p on this panel is that you don't see the pixel grid which you would see with a typical 1080p panel. Now you might think that a 24-inch panel is too small for 4K, but it's not. Even the budget phones these days have close to 400 ppi, so this just matches the perceived density at the typical distance you use your PC at. Although for productivity tasks, you might want to go for a bigger monitor, but those are quite expensive compared to this. So in conclusion, this is a really great budget 4K monitor that checks all the boxes and delivers an uncompromised viewing experience. Even though this isn't one of the latest models, it still holds up well in 2019, and if you are looking for a new monitor and you have a budget of around 25,000 rupees, I think that this is the one that you should go for. You can go for a 1080p 144Hz TN panel at this price range, but unless you really play games more than 80% of the time you use your PC, I would highly recommend that you go for the higher resolution instead of higher refresh rate. And I'll have my links in the video description below, so you can check the current prices or buy it. So that was it for this review. Let me know what you think about this monitor in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it or a thumbs down if you disliked it, and subscribe with the notification bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.